Pulled by gravity, water flows from one place to another. These laws of nature don't heed our political or administrative boundaries. It therefore makes sense to take an entire river basin into account when managing water resources. That is, from catchment to drainage and all points in between. And we need to consider the many different uses of water. As demands increase on limited water resources, this integrated basin approach is the most logical way forward. But it's not very easy to implement. It challenges us to integrate natural systems with human systems. The Challenge Program has adopted this approach in its 9 benchmark river basins. Its success depends on a combination of technological, managerial, and institutional solutions.
The main basin priorities are to try and identify first and foremost how we can protect our water resources by making sure that the upper watersheds where the water resources are mainly generated are protected. The most important aspect is sharing of that water resources, because as a common water resource, this water has to be shared by all the communities and the countries that use it.
6 of the 9 benchmark river basins flow across national boundaries. For example, 10 African countries share the Nile River Basin. The Nile originates here in Lake Victoria, which is shared by Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. As the mighty river winds its way northwards, it enters more and more dry regions. Along the way, its waters are tapped and diverted many times over.
Downstream communities continue receiving less and less water, and that becomes a source of conflict, particularly during drought years. They therefore sometimes have to go up there and plead with these people who are in the upstream to allow some water to flow downstream for their interests.
Researchers are looking at how the upstream users can manage with less water. We are in Nakasongola in Uganda, north of Lake Victoria. Farming here is fed by rainfall. Researchers working for the Challenge Program are looking at how both humans and cattle can survive with less water. Due to arid conditions and overgrazing, the soil erodes away, filling waterways with sediment. Meanwhile, animal waste is polluting the water. Research has shown that fencing of dams can improve the local water quality. But then water tanks and pipes have to be set up for the animals to drink.
We can advise the farmers and say, look, water is receding, you better start possibly looking at somewhere else. If not, we are to advise the farmers to dig even deeper tanks which can carry larger volumes of water, which can carry farmers through the dry season.
Meanwhile, in the Volta River Basin in West Africa, the challenge is to share water resources between farming and power generation. And a research project in Ghana is trying to help urban farmers to safely grow vegetables using municipal wastewater, the only kind of water they have. Whatever the issue, solutions are easier to find when we adopt an integrated water management approach at river basin level. In today's world, our economies and societies are interlinked more closely than ever before. This is a result of rapid globalization and trade liberalization in recent years. It connects the micro and the macro in many different ways, sometimes in ways we don't imagine. The survival and prosperity of families, communities, and countries are tied to factors that we are just beginning to understand. And everything keeps changing.
The main challenge that we are facing in the global national food and water system theme is that global change is profoundly affecting how water is being allocated and used. For example, its contribution to national and global food production is changing because of climate change. So food production is becoming more uncertain, and we need both national and global policies to ensure that the poor still have access to food.
Changes are happening not just in human systems, but also in natural systems. The climate itself is affected, with far-reaching implications for how we manage water and grow food.
There is enough evidence that Sub-Saharan Africa will suffer most from both increasing climate variability and climate change. So it's very important to devise strategies to support governments in the region to develop adaptation strategies, especially for rural areas and for agriculture, because agriculture is most vulnerable to climate variability and climate change.
Theme 5 probes beyond the horizons of traditional water management and looks for the bigger picture. It has 3 priority research areas. First, it will look at competing demands for water from irrigation, industry and households. Second, it will analyse national strategies for developing farming and fishing. And finally, it will try to understand the relation between climate change and the global water cycle. All this aims to provide a knowledge base to policymakers so they can devise better coping strategies. The Challenge Program is encouraging more give and take by everyone concerned. This takes us right to the heart of politics and governance, as for example in the Mekong River Basin that is shared by 6 countries.
What the project is interested in is examining political relationships and possible ways in which we can get a cooperative system going to ensure that every country obtains its water demands.
As communities and countries now realise, cooperation is an imperative, not a choice.
You can only manage water through cooperation. There's no way around it. Water in a river, it can only be managed through cooperating. A downstream community must in some way be able to influence the actions of upstream communities, whether this be at a national level or if it be at a village level.
Theme 5 brings together the broad strands on which the overall Challenge Program is based. Typically, these issues are addressed in separate sectors, where experts work in their own silos. It's only by linking these silos that the bigger picture will emerge.
What we are trying to work on is to include agriculture, food security, access to water for the poor into those negotiation strategies for transboundary sharing of benefits.
The interdisciplinary research by the Challenge Program can offer a bulwark against the uncertainties we have to live with.